Recorded at the WNDU 16 News Now studios, this is the South Bend Tribune's Pot of Gold Notre Dame Football Podcast. Here are your hosts, columnist Tom Noie, Notre Dame football beat writer Mike Berardino, and WNDU's Jackson Neill.
This is the Pot of Gold for Wednesday, November 12th, and I'm starting with this. I'm drawing a parallel between number 9 Notre Dame, 7-2, going to number 22 Pittsburgh, also 7-2, and saying if Saturday's game at Acrisure Stadium, which kicks off at noon on ABC, is as crazy as the 4 days of weather that we've had in South Bend, boy, oh boy, Mike Berardino, you will be in for an absolute treat in the press box of Acrisure Stadium. Because as we sit here on Wednesday afternoon, it is currently 46 degrees with a big, bright ball of sun in the sky. We've had winter storm warnings. I've had to shovel about 11 inches of snow off my driveway. We've had wind. We've had cold. It's been like 10 degrees, and it's going to be 50 tomorrow. So if the weather is anything, if the game is anything like the weather, buckle up, Mike, because you're in for a wild one on Saturday.
I have a first alert weather stat for you.
Look at you. And look at you playing. It's not even on the script, and he's got it. He's got stats right now.
This is first alert weather right here. The fort is like 14.6 inches of snow or something South Bend has had to start November. From November 1st to November 15th, 5th most snow ever in that period.
Seriously.
I thought you built it up. I did see some other stat. Maybe you can tell me if this was just fake news. But I saw something that said the other day, when what day was it that it really came down?
Sunday.
Yeah.
Saturday into Sunday.
Yes.
Sunday. That was the most on that particular date in South Bend history since 1913.
Wow.
So we got a little taste of 1913.
It was ridiculous. Look, I don't want a taste of 1913. I walked out of Notre Dame Stadium at 1:45 Sunday morning and had to go brush about 3 inches of snow off my car. And I started thinking, it's 1:45 in the morning, and at 1:45 that previous afternoon, I was cutting my grass. I was cutting grass before I went to the Navy game. And then it's a winter wonderland. So winter has arrived in South Bend. It will not stick around for long. Like we said, it'll be 60 on Thursday, 60 on Friday, maybe close to 70 on Saturday. But Mike Berardino will be in Pittsburgh. Jackson and I are going to hold down the home fort here on this one, right? You're not going, are you?
I'm not going. Want to watch it together, Tom?
No, I will not be watching it with
watch
you.
Party. Sponsored by Pot of Gold.
There we
We
go.
will not be having a watch party. But was there a watch party last night? I don't know. When the second college football playoff rankings have been announced. And surprise, surprise, not really. Notre Dame's up to number 9. Thoughts, questions, comments, concerns?
Jackson.
Of course, Mike.
Jackson wasn't there. Jackson was at the basketball game with me.
Yes.
We look to you, Mike Berardino, the Notre Dame football beat writer, to carry this football segment.
Couple things. One thing came to me as I was driving here today, and having now had 2 runs of Mac Rhodes, both on ESPN. That's the selection committee chairman for college football playoff, Baylor athletic director. He had kind of an eventful week too, but somehow that wasn't mentioned. Whatever went on there, he had some flare-ups, reported flare-ups with people yelling at players and coaches. But he was back at his position. But I'm not impressed with his ability to explain the gradations and the splitting of hairs. And frankly, it feels like every time he's asked about a player, whether it's by he did about 20 minutes or so on the conference call, or the 5 real quick thing on ESPN in between basketball, it feels like, the guy from accounting, and you run into him at the water cooler, and he knows you're a sports writer, and he just wants to make polite conversation. He'll say stuff like, that it all starts with the quarterback. Or he said this about the Indiana game. He said, they how did he say it? Something like they got it. They found a way when they had to find a way.
Hey, thanks
and this
for that,
was
Max.
put on ESPN, and this is not really helping me figure out why Indiana is still ahead of Texas A&M. So there was very little. It was repetitive on the Notre Dame front, what he had to say about Notre Dame. He's still impressed with the 2-headed backfield and with C.J. Carr and the defensive improvement.
But
here's the thing I pointed out in the thing that I wrote for ND Insider and South Bend Tribune, and we've talked about this on the show, and I think there'll be other examples, but he was very impressed by the Arkansas out of all the games they played this year, everybody, hundreds of games. Of course, he feels like it was he called it a turning point, and it was, against Arkansas for the Notre Dame defense, because one of his 11 pals in that room is Hunter Yurachek, the athletic director of Arkansas, who had to sit in that stadium and watch it empty out.
And then fire Sam Pittman.
And then the next day fire Sam Pittman, and it's expensive, and it's embarrassing, and it's traumatic, and he's probably the one who's not going to let Notre Dame slip, because they ruined his year, basically. So I think that's a benefit, and there's some other people in that room who have connections to Notre Dame, but they're all supposed to check things at the door. They showed us with their little hats, putting them on a hat. I don't think that means a thing.
I liked it, though. It's kind of funny.
We do that, too, here before we start this.
Didn't all the hats have the same logo on them, too? I think they did, but it's still a flawed concept, and there was Greg McElroy makes some good points on ESPN, and he mentioned something that, and he's pretty much pro-Irish on this stuff. I don't think Notre Dame ever almost never loses when he calls a game. He this year that changed. He doesn't think that Notre Dame necessarily controls its own destiny in moving up anymore, and that's fair to say, or even sliding back a little, because there's so much good on good still to come. Teams that are in this basket playing each other, able to leapfrog is a possibility. I took from that McElroy at least sees there's a potential that Notre Dame could slide. Would they slide? The trend line is they're getting closer to having a first-round home game. They're one move up away. That's a big difference. But what if they had to slide? What if they are stuck in that on the road in the first round? We'll see.
And what happens? The new narrative with that is what happens if Texas and Oklahoma run the table?
Yeah.
Especially this weekend, if they get wins. I mean, Oklahoma
at Alabama,
Texas
at Georgia.
Exactly.
Right.
If they both win, I mean, they were right there behind Notre Dame. You have to imagine that's where the slide comes for the Irish, is because, I mean, those are two very, very impressive wins if they get them.
So they're at 9 again. Ole Miss is at 7. Ole Miss has to go to Florida. We don't know how that's going to wind up. And then Oregon's at 8. They're 8-1, but they have to play USC. We don't know how that ends up. Ole Miss and/or Oregon lose. Notre Dame runs the table. Texas and Oklahoma just quietly fade into the background. Notre Dame gets a home game somewhere along the line. Somehow, some way, Notre Dame is going to get a home game. That's not necessarily a big deal. We just need to see Notre Dame in the field. Like, the finish 10-2. If you're 9 and you're going to Oregon, you know what? Go take your chances out in Eugene.
Mm-hmm. I think the one of the funniest things, though, for me with this latest bracket reveal is the whole Miami of it. So Miami moved up to 15, right? So right now, if you look at the projected bracket, they have Miami as the 11th seed because they're the highest ranked ACC team. So, like, they're just assuming the conference champion. The problem with that is that the Miami has, like, no chance to win the conference championship. They're, like, completely out of the conference.
How do you know that, though? There's like nine schools can still win the ACC.
Yeah,
is
it
Georgia Tech? Is it Louisville?
They need a lot of help. They're like 3-2 in conference. A lot of people in front of them with just one loss. I mean, it is. So, like, that was, to me, the funniest thing was that I think, last year everyone got really confused when it came, like, okay, well, how's Boise State all of a sudden up that high? Things like that. I think there might be a little bit of confusion for Miami fans of, wait a second, we should be in the bracket. Yeah, well, they're doing it as a conference champion, and you don't really have a shot at that.
I think this week was a market correction for Miami because they were dropped so far behind Notre Dame, and the outcry was, how do you drop Miami so deep after they beat Notre Dame? Why are they 18? This, that. All right, now let's give a little love to Miami. Let's put them at 15. Let's say they win the ACC championship and they get that bid and they kind of sneak in. Miami just needs to go away. Like, you've got you have two really iffy losses there. Just go away and see what happens somewhere else in the ACC.
Good chance that they'll go away. That crystal ball team will crystal ball. But the committee's still really keen on Miami, even though they dissed them last week.
I think they had to be because they got so much flack of saying, why is Notre Dame so far back, or Miami so far back in Notre Dame?
Yeah, 18-10 was a big gap. Now it's 15-9. Now there was some reporting out of South Florida in the past week that maybe Cristobal said it on a radio show or something, but that the committee could not put resume to resume unless you're within 3 spots of somebody, and then the head-to-head becomes like number 1 tiebreaker, essentially. And so like they wouldn't. There's some weird scenario. I don't know how this would work, where Miami didn't qualify for the ACC championship, didn't get in that game, conference title game, but somehow slipped up there. Say got up to like 12, and Notre Dame was 9 or 10. 13-10. Got within. If you're within 3 spots, or maybe within a pod of 3, then you look at, was there a head-to-head meeting? And then they really don't like to have that pod of 3 with the head-to-head in the wrong order, although they have done it. And they keep saying, he said again last night, we have great respect for Miami. Mack Rhodes said, when you think about the eye test, I hate the eye test. Think about the eye test. They're really talented, both sides of the ball. Yes, well, that's, kind of your my eyes is killing me. They're really talented, both sides of the ball. Of course they are. A lot of teams are.
Yeah.
But, and there's nobody on that Miami, on the selection committee that should be pulling Miami along or pulling Notre Dame down necessarily, but if you're a Notre Dame follower, you do not want Miami and Notre Dame somehow moving within 3 spots of each other, because then something weird could happen. Where
we will see weird. There will be weird.
There's going to be something odd this year.
There has to be weird.
Yeah, so the best thing would just for the Cristobal team to spit up on itself again and get out of the way, like you say, and that would be helpful. The ACC is terrible.
It is a mess.
That's the ACC. Sorry. Notre Dame runs its win streak to 7 in a row. Probably their most complete effort of the season outside of the Arkansas game. They beat Navy 49-10 on a snowy, rainy night in South Bend. Guess what? They kicked 7 extra points. Eric Schmidt.
Yes.
Thank you, Eric Schmidt, for bringing some sanity to the kicking game 9 games into the 2025 season. So 49-10. Jeremiah Love does the ridiculous once again, sits down on the stomach of a Navy player, takes a little break, decides, you know what, I'm just going to get up and keep running, and goes for a 48-yard touchdown to really bust that game open. So other than the James Rendell 28-yard, 26-yard, whatever it was, punt, offense, defense, special teams, really good effort on Saturday.
I mean, that's exactly what they need to be doing. That's exactly what, this is. I mean, it's a Navy team that has some, they're solid, they're fine.
Yeah, but everything went out the window, like an hour and a half, hour and 20 minutes before the game. When Blake Horvath was announced that he wasn't going to play, and then it was like, all right, well, how much is Notre Dame going to win this one by?
Exactly, and we just got done talking about the college football playoff, and it sounds like a broken record from last year too. In games like this, win big. And they just look dominant.
I'm curious to see what Boubacar Traore is able to do against Pittsburgh this week, because they held him out. They said it wasn't, Marcus Freeman said it wasn't injury related. It was more, there wasn't the right spot for him. I mean, he has played against Navy before. Well, maybe he didn't, because he was out last year. So
yeah, he has never played against Navy.
So maybe just a good idea to save him for pure pass rushing. But that was an interesting move, because he was warming up and he went through the whole thing and he looked fine. But he's going to be needed against Pittsburgh and its freshman quarterback. But the thing that jumped out too, Madden Farimo getting a chance to play 29 defensive snaps and a lot of them with Kingston Viliamu-Asa. I wrote about that in the South Bend Tribune today, because Kingston really enjoyed that and has been mentoring Madden, and they come from the same area, different schools, but have known each other forever. And the mentoring is going well, because that guy's good, and he's going to be a force here at some point.
That says a lot about Madden Farimo, because Marcus Freeman talked a lot about heading into the Navy game, how you have to at least see the Navy option offense once to kind of figure it out. Madden Farimo had never seen it. He goes out and he makes 4 tackles.
Yeah.
So good effort.
Big 4th down stop when the game was kind of in the balance still at that point. Right? First stop out of the halftime. So and then suddenly it became a deluge.
So we have a Madden Farimo sighting against Navy. Guess what else we saw, Jackson Neill?
What's that?
We saw Aeneas Williams.
There we go, my guy.
Aeneas Williams.
We called for it.
Yes.
We did.
Spoke it
Finally.
into existence. He's
I-
good.
He's so
haven't-
good.
I didn't include it on our speak up segment today, but we got yet more questions about the running back. Why don't they go too deep or more than too deep? Why doesn't anybody else get a carry? Aeneas Williams finally gets a carry. 5 carries, 72 yards, 1 touchdown, a 54-yard touchdown run. Doesn't touch the ball from a running back standpoint all year, and goes out and averages 14.4 yards per carry.
I've been saying it. He's good.
We've been pounding that table all year for number 22. Aeneas Williams gets in.
What do you think of a backfield next year with Aeneas and Nolan James Jr. and Kedron Young healthy? Is that okay? You want more?
That would do. But in this transfer portal era, are all 3 going to stick around? We don't know.
Yeah. I wouldn't necessarily
or
be
who do they
compelled
add?
to go get someone else. I'm not compelled to go get someone else necessarily. I just think that you've recruited very well at that position in recent years, and you continue to recruit very well. And there may be some of the 26 signees who can play from day one.
Yeah, I've seen some highlights of those guys.
Yeah, I don't think you need to go in the portal.
Speaking of going out and getting someone else in the portal, not necessarily the running back situation, but before we move off of Navy and look at Pitt, Marcus Freeman did have a little more clarity with wide receiver Jaden Greathouse, whose name comes up every single week in our questions that we possibly use as far as transfer, this, that, the other. He still has a hamstring issue, and when Marcus Freeman says Monday they had to go in there and extract blood, that's a pretty serious issue that he's.
Yeah.
That hurt my hamstring. I reached for my hamstring sitting there listening to Marcus Freeman talk on Monday. So Jaden Greathouse, it's not a transfer situation. It's a really serious injury situation.
Yeah, I was dubious if it was a transfer situation or not, but when you're hearing about blood being extracted from a hamstring, I've not heard about that in other sports. That is very, very serious. So I think that kind of squashes all that speculation in my mind.
Because it's it had been thigh,
right,
and
that's what it was listed.
Said hamstring a few times, maybe continues to be listed as thigh, but so that maybe it's both, and so he went through this in 23. It's easy to forget because he was a freshman. He came back and he did some things late, but from missing the Duke game in late September, took him all the way to senior day to make another catch, and he was getting some play. But he just had no separation, no burst. And so that's good. And I asked Devontae Smith after the game. We finally got to talk to Devontae Smith after a game or since the season started. And he was the one who went through the calf injury that held him back. And he said he had been counseling Jaden Greathouse on the value of patience and what he learned, Smith, from coming back too soon against Boise, playing 7 snaps and going back on the shelf, not getting his chance to shut down Mekhi Lemon. That would have helped his stock a little bit if he'd had a chance to do that. Leonard Moore did it just fine.
So now we turn our attention to Pittsburgh. Jackson, this Pittsburgh game is the one to watch out for, isn't it? Or is it?
Yeah.
When you listen to one Pat Narduzzi talk and say, we can lose this game by 100.
Yeah.
And it won't matter.
So the way I view this Pitt game is the same way I viewed the Duke game last week. If guys you didn't know, Duke went on the road at UConn last week. And
I have no idea. What are you talking about?
Okay, well, anyways, they went on the road at UConn and they lost that game, and it sounds terrible, but it didn't matter,
right?
Because they're still in the thick of the ACC hunt. And right now, if you look at the ACC, there's several teams all with 1 loss in conference. Pitt is one of them. Coming up after Notre Dame, Pitt plays Georgia Tech and Miami. So they have a really important ACC stretch after this. I've been marking this game down from Notre Dame's perspective, but I think that Narduzzi quote just kind of showed to me that I don't know how. I think they're really gearing up for the Georgia Tech Miami games.
They're sitting there saying it would be really nice for our program and a step for our program. Because after they lost to West Virginia, everybody was like, "Yeah, Pittsburgh stinks." Mm-hmm. It would be a really big moment for that program to beat Notre Dame on Saturday. But if Pat Narduzzi is saying, hey, guys, let's go out there and really give it our all, but in the back of our minds, we can lose to Notre Dame, beat Georgia Tech, beat Miami, and still have a really good shot of getting into the college football playoff. I don't know what that holds for Pittsburgh this weekend.
They're 22 in the rankings. They're not getting in as an at-large team.
No, they're not. But can they run the ACC table?
Yeah, they can.
There you go.
They have they've gone through a lot of injury this year and continued, in some cases, some borderline decisions. And I listened to Narduzzi speaking with Eric McLean on an ACC network deal, and I got the sense as well that he's not, if it's a tough call, if it's truly questionable for somebody to play this week, and that player could be the difference in beating Notre Dame or sticking with Notre Dame and somehow having a setback and not being available, like you guys say, for the two big games to follow in conference, I think they'll hold that player out, and that may be a blanket thing. And so
you want a name of a player? I'll give you a name of a player.
The running back is one of them, I believe.
I'll go with linebacker Rasheem Biles.
Yeah,
he's missed 3 games with a foot injury. He's only played 6, but he's still the second leading tackler on the team, and he has said on social media that he's close to returning. I took that as maybe this weekend, but with they have so much more to play for other than Notre Dame, maybe they sit him out another week and say, you know what, gear up for Georgia Tech and Miami, and don't worry about Notre Dame.
Yes, those borderline calls, and this is why when you think about it, late season in the conference era, and you're the independent, it's not so bad to have to face some of these teams. They are generally in conferences. Just about everybody is, right, except UConn and Notre Dame. But for now, until Michigan and USC leave the Big Ten. But this is where priorities.
We have breaking news here. Or what?
In terms of priority, yeah, I mean, you're not. You always hear the assumption is Notre Dame always gets somebody's best effort because of the resentment and the history and the NBC and all that. But just competitively and trying to get into this 12-team field, which is the be-all, end-all, it's what decides. As soon as you get that third loss and you can't coach anymore, then you lawyer up and you make sure you get all your $53 million, and I think he will. But 53 point whatever, and of course the lawyer cut's going to be nice.
Is that a Brian Kelly
That
reference?
LSU lawyer cut's going to be nice.
Where's that on the rundown?
Oh, I just thought we'd.
Mike has his own
that.
rundown, Tom.
He does. He's operating off his own call sheet over
yes.
there.
Yeah, why not? And why change now? So when it's all about getting into the 12, and you aren't really blocking your opponent from getting into the 12, then you are going to have some people continue to sit when you come to town, and that may happen this weekend, even with game day and this and that.
The circus is coming to town.
All down there where the Steelers' home, Heinz Field is what it is to me.
Acrisure.
I don't even know what that is, but one of those. But
isn't Acrisure insurance?
It sounds like it should be, or
if it isn't, it is,
or maybe some sort of electrolyte drink. But
Jackson's on it. Series history: Notre Dame leads the all-time series 51-21-1. First meeting was in 1909. The Irish are 29-11-1 at Pittsburgh. The Irish have won the last 4 and 7 of the last 8. The last Pittsburgh win in the series, 28-21 at the old Heinz Field in Pittsburgh in 2013. And the last meeting, 2023 at home, Notre Dame wins 58-7.
That was the senior day?
That was
it was senior day. Yeah.
Was that senior day or Georgia Tech?
When senior day was the marshmallow girl throwing her into right into Sam Hartman's hot chocolate. It was that ball game. But anyway, this game's at noon. Supposed to have good weather, so weather shouldn't be a factor over there as far as we know. And Pitt is it's odd. The stats are just odd. Partly in offense because they changed quarterback and they went from a guy who was supposed to be good and wasn't to a guy who was supposed to be a year or two away, and he's good right now. So
that would be Mason Heinschel.
Yes.
True freshman from suburban Toledo. He's 5-0 as a starter, and the whole season flipped when he came in for Eli Holstein for the Boston College game. So they got new life. He has some receivers he's able to throw to, but Pittsburgh's defense, they're going to gear up to stop one Jeremiah Love, which leaves open a big day for C.J. Carr.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the Pittsburgh defense, what is it, third in the country?
Yeah.
Least in terms of rushing defense, allowing a little over 80 yards per game on the ground. So, I mean, this is a defense that can stop the run. I mean, you look at their schedule, they've obviously not played a backfield like Notre Dame because no one has a backfield like Notre Dame. So I still expect Notre Dame to be able to run the football pretty well against them. But meanwhile, as they're selling out to stop the run, they're in the bottom half of the ACC in their pass defense. Like around, I think it's around like 10th, 11th, somewhere around there, like 270 plus yards a game. This is a time where you can throw on this team.
Absolutely. So that's Pitt, that's Navy, that's college football playoff, that's even some Brian Kelly talk and some weather. We covered it all in the first segment. We'll come back, pick it up with former Notre Dame offensive lineman Josh Lugg right after these messages. It's guest spotlight time. Why not bring on a guy from Wexford, Pennsylvania, suburban Pittsburgh? Former Notre Dame offensive lineman Josh Lugg joins us on the show. Josh, good to see you.
Thanks for having me on, guys.
Okay, first question.
Big week.
Big week. What was it like? Did you ever think when you enrolled at Notre Dame that you would be a college student for 6 years?
Look, I wanted to come to Notre Dame for academics. They put a attractive master's on the table. I had to take it and play in 6 years. Really, I had to get Coach Heastan on bookends my freshman year and my 6th year. So that was just the icing on the cake.
After when you go to school for 6 years, so you graduate with an undergraduate degree and then a master's, and then you're done with school, what was that first year out of college where you're like, what am I going to do with myself now? Like, there's no more college
anymore. I had it
anymore.
in the middle. Yeah, so I had a little bit of a break in between. I had a couple years playing football where I wasn't doing any real school. I was a non-degree seeking graduate student. And I enjoyed that time. A lot of time in the locker room. Had an opportunity to work with Pat Connaughton, who's now in Charlotte. We're doing some real estate locally. That really kind of set the tone for Golden Legacy and what us football guys ended up building because of that unique experience with him. But no, once school was kind of over and I've been this academic my whole life, I was like, well, what am I going to do? I'm a real-world civilian. I don't have football or academia in my life. So we started Golden Legacy.
You spent so many years playing football at Notre Dame. How do you watch a Notre Dame football game now? As not necessarily a fan, but a casual observer? Can you be a casual observer of Notre Dame football with everything that you experienced?
Great question. It's challenging. If I go to the games, I love being either seated next to the tunnel or under the scoreboard so that I can watch the end zone footage. Mm-hmm. That point of view, that's really my best way of watching football is staring at the backs of 5 offensive linemen. For me, it's tough if I'm just watching it to watch football. I've never done it that way before, but I'm not one of those psycho guys. It's just like I can't turn the TV on. I can have fun and cheer for the Irish.
Josh, you played in 61 games here, and that's tied for 5th with another Pittsburgh guy, Kurt Heinisch. Which that's just an amazing number. Crazy to think that Kaiser then comes along and takes it all the way to 70. But, that's pretty cool. And then 33 of those were starts and a ton of them in your final 2 years. But you got Jordan Botello coming up behind you. But what kind of pride do you take in the fact that you were able to suit up so many times to answer the bell? You guys, every offensive lineman plays through pain. You played through pain. What is just the fact that that 61, what's that mean to you?
Yeah, I mean, 61 and anybody that's beaten that number or tied, that's a huge, huge round of applause. Credit goes back to the training staff. I mean, we were all hurt. Everyone had injuries. Like, you get to the end of the season after especially a Bayless offseason, you're in November. Everyone's hurt, right? And Notre Dame recruits the right guys that want to be on the field. We all had that. Everybody wanted to play football. All the starters for Notre Dame want to be on the field. But at the end of the day, it's what kind of treatment are you getting? And Notre Dame was excellent with that. So 61 is it's a cool number, but really it's thanks to the treatment staff over at the facility. It's a thanks to the coaches, especially later in the season, kind of watching the reps and practice, making sure, hey, you're ready to go for Saturday. Because when it's Saturday, it's game on. There's no more excuses.
When you say everybody's hurt, you get to mid-November and it's been such a grind. What is a week of November practice like, especially for an offensive lineman, where this hurts or that hurts, or I need treatment on this, I need treatment on that? When do you feel like during a week like this, where it's mid-November and it's 10 games in now, that you feel like you're ready to go out there and play a football game?
Yeah, for us as offensive linemen, we love November. That's right when the perfect temperature kind of came around. So for us, it was nice. But, as you get later in the season, you still have the same level of intensity in practice. It might shift more from physicality intensity to mental intensity, right? Like early on in August and September, it's a lot of reps. It's hitting. Later in November, we still got those reps in, but they were maybe dialed back a little bit. Cleaning up at that point, you have 8 to 9 games of film where you have to self-correct a lot of things that you're doing. Remember when I was a tackle, sometimes how I was screwing my front foot into the ground was maybe either giving away a run or pass. So November is a great opportunity where you're spending some extra time during practice and after practice to kind of correct yourself so you're not giving tendencies away. You have a lot of film to grade on each other. You're kind of near the finish line. You can see it, that everything's playing out real nice. We always knew in November and in fourth quarters that we were going to finish harder than anybody else. That was just our mindset. I mean, what we went through off-season workouts, nobody else could replicate. There's no team that we played that we felt outworked us in the off-season. And so when it was November or fourth quarter game, we just had the confidence in us that we finish everything that we do.
And Josh, this might kind of be going off of that, but I mean, someone who played in so many games on the Notre Dame offensive line, it feels like over the past, for a while now, for going on years, it feels like no matter who steps up in that group, there's just a continued success. It's continued one of the stronger points of the team. I guess in your mind, how has a program as Notre Dame been able to kind of continue that being a strength, the offensive line, no matter who they slot in any given season, it feels like?
Well, man, I mean, you see us go to Martin's together to shop. Like the Notre Dame offensive line, you see one of us, you see all 15. That's the secret, guys. Like, it's not that Notre Dame's more elite at recruiting talent that can play any position and fit in any spot. It's just we are around each other year-round, talking football. In spring ball, switching up different positions, seeing things through one set of eyes. I'm just as close with the left tackle and left guard to center my right tackle when I'm at right guard. So if I need to move over, and I moved around a lot during my college career. They've asked Solly to move around a good amount. We know that Billy was moving around for a while. Coogan, Rocco. Asking guys to do that is critical for a caliber team like Notre Dame, where injuries will come up. You got to have someone that can go in and see the offense, again, see the plays, one set of eyes, no matter who's in there. I mean, the team counts on it. And that it started with our culture that we have outside of football.
Tell us about Golden Legacy Partners now, Josh, because you take guys who you've lined up next to, and guys like Tommy Kramer, Liam Eichenberg, Cole Mabry, and then you've been nice enough to have the quarterback. Got to have a quarterback in there. You're bringing Ian Book along in the business world. So that attention to detail, I imagine, really does, among all the things that transfer from your education, the football side of a line, like you said, just you could be off by a millimeter, a fraction with your foot placement. The attention to detail you guys had as linemen, how are you bringing that into real estate and what you're doing it professionally?
Yeah, well, I think we have 3 things that we try to focus on with our business. On the investment end, and Golden Legacy, it's investment management and brokerage, all servicing Notre Dame community, Notre Dame investors, Notre Dame alumni. For our investment group, we're a young firm. We're buying some cool properties, but we're still young. Any communication we have with our investors, whether they're longtime friends, whether they're NFL, or if they're someone new that we've met through Notre Dame, they should feel like they're working with Goldman Sachs. Our communications are professional with them. On the management end, We have I'd say the top 10 Notre Dame HOAs that we get to manage. We're very lucky to do it. How does Notre Dame feel like Disney World when our owners and the details that go into that? You don't just take a flight to Orlando and get off the plane and think about, okay, what theme park we're going to hit first. Everything is meticulously planned. Our management team is doing an excellent job. They've had a heck of a year delivering that for our clients. And then our brokerage team, we're the team that knows what it means to be Irish, led by Tommy Kramer and a bunch of other domers all the way back to 1967. We have a heck of a realty group that has served Notre Dame staff, Notre Dame parents, Notre Dame alumni, current Notre Dame students that are against my NIL. We know how to traverse the Notre Dame condo, townhome, and luxury single-family home market better than anybody else can. And at the end of the day, it's the details, it's the culture that Notre Dame instilled in us. Tommy Kramer and I, we meet weekly with an ops meeting, and we've kind of defined if there's two people in this world, there's those that were coached by Coach Easton and those that were not. Just from some of how we process through challenges, and maybe the rest of our team will look at us and be like, how did that not like offend you or like get you emotional? We're like, what are you talking about? Like, that wasn't personal. Because we had the Coach Easton effect and the experience, him and I can operate at such a high level together. And really very little would phase us. So that's what Golden Legacy is. It really is just culture, great coaching, and a brotherhood. I mean, it's so cool being around. Ian, that's married now. Tommy, married with a kid. Cole and I just got married in August. And then you add in, not outside of our company, I mean, Hunter Bivens up here, Myron's back, Milk being around the university.
He's never leaving. He's got a good deal there. Yeah.
Was this an easy transition once you decided, all right, football, that I've taken football as far as I'm able to take it, and then transitioning to the business world? Easy, difficult?
Yeah, I don't know if easy is the right word. Like, look, the transition, the professional side of the transition was easy because Notre Dame did an amazing job at setting me up for the next change in whatever I was going to do out of football and being a civilian. Michael O'Malley with Fire at Notre Dame really helped us catalyze and start Golden Legacy. There is nothing about starting Golden Legacy that wasn't easy, but it would have been impossible without Notre Dame. And so that part was fine. Leaving football, I mean, it was kind of an abrupt ending. I went through rookie minicamp, made the team, was through OTAs, was spent every day through training camp. And then on the Monday where they go from 90 to 53, I was one of those individuals that wasn't offered a practice squad spot. Trained for a while, was back here, getting going ready. We knew Tommy, Liam, Cole, Ian, myself, we knew we were going to eventually start this. I got it going, started networking around Notre Dame as I was training. Call just never came. But I'll tell you, I stayed busy. Notre Dame kept me busy. I was so excited about this next opportunity to compete, just not on the football field. I never missed it while I was awake. The toughest part of transition, I've tried working with players that are getting out of it. For me, I struggled when I slept. Like nightmares of being fired or cut or injuries or something else when I was sleeping, where I just didn't feel that level of control. Because when you're busy and you're around the Notre Dame, for me, it was easy. And a lot of guys, it's not. They have an identity problem that they got to fix. But I talk with a lot of athletes. They're fine when they're awake. They're busy. They have a lot of calls to Notre Dame. Everything's good. I got a new job. I'm getting married. This is all great. But it's like, how are you sleeping? And like for me, that was something it took about a year to really work through. I remember dreams of my high school football coach walking into our local pizza shop, which was great back in Pittsburgh. And I was a waiter, and he'd come and fire me in front of the whole town. Like that was, but it was the same conversation of when I was essentially cut from the Bears. So for that, it's like guys kind of always transition in their own way. I was very lucky that I had a very supportive wife, fiance at the time, and now an amazing company of people I get to be around. So I'm good.
When you dream now, what do you dream about?
Oh man, Notre Dame wins. Beating Pitt by 100.
Narduzzi won't mind.
Yeah, that's what you heard that from Pat Narduzzi, right?
Were you
So
recruited? You would have been recruited
I've known
by him
Narduzzi.
too.
I've
Yeah.
known them. Yeah. So Patrick Jr. is close, very close friend of mine, best friend. He got married this summer. He ended up marrying my best friend that I've known for a long while as well. So I know the Narduzzi family very well. That comment was interesting that was made, but I'll tell you what, the Narduzzi family, they're good people. They really are. I just hope Notre Dame goes out there. They just take care of business.
He said this week, Narduzzi said that Notre Dame and Pitt don't recruit the same players, but Notre Dame's great history, you included, of raiding Pittsburgh for the best there and bringing them here. So do you think in the last decade that somehow changed, or is he just giving himself a pass for sitting there at number 41 in the recruiting rankings, I think, and Notre Dame's number 4? He's like, basically he's going after different people nowadays.
Yeah, no, I think I'm not going to comment necessarily on like what he meant by it or whatnot, but I will say Marcus Freeman has made Notre Dame an incredible place, an attractive place to be. I have the opportunity to speak with the recruits on Saturdays. This place is super special. I don't know why anybody else wouldn't want to come here. I'll also give credit to Coach Narduzzi that when I was being recruited by Pitt, it was not in the same condition as it is today. And so I think both of them have elevated their recruiting. Both of them have elevated the experience they can offer their student athletes. Whether they're targeting the same people or not, I don't know. Maybe that's more coordinator driven, or I try to stay out of like whose NIL is what or how that's going. But I will say that both programs are by far in a better state than they were when I was being recruited, and that's a kudo to both Marcus Freeman and Coach Narduzzi.
You kind of touched on Marcus Freeman right there. I mean, you played for him in that first year of his as head coach. I'm wondering, how did you see him grow over that first season as the head coach? And then now, I mean, he's talked about as one of the biggest coaching stars in the sport, maybe just kind of seeing him around the program now. How have you seen him grow even further?
Yeah. As much as he's grown, he's also kind of stuck to what he believes is the right way to coach, which is the most impressive thing. When he got his coaching gig and we opened up the 2022 season losing to Ohio State and Marshall, it was like, okay, is Coach Freeman going to change his style? Are Monday and Sunday meetings going to feel a little bit different? Is there going to be a different message? And there wasn't. And that's when he truly got the respect from the players and the coaches, where it was, this is Coach Freeman's style. This is his message. He believes in this process. Let's believe as well, and let's fight for him, because there was nobody that was working harder than him in the facility. And I think you've just seen that play out to the point where he gets the team to the national championship last year. They have an incredible, I don't want to call it a bounce back. I think the first 2 games the team played fine. They're just tough outcomes. But you have a coach in a leadership position where, yeah, he's grown in that leadership position, but he has and how he coaches has always been the same, and that's very respected by players.
Josh, what do you weigh these days? When's the last time you used to have to get on a scale every day? Probably. It looks like you there's less of you.
You're not
thank you.
You're not 6'7", 316. Probably 6'6", 280.
I'm just around 290. I got down to 270, which I was super proud of, and then having just a desk job made it a little more difficult.
I'm the last one to say anything. I'm saying that this is a common thing. You guys have to carb load, and you're taking in 3,000 calories a day at least for shakes and everything. And then talk about the transition, just from a pure health wise, and with your primary physician, you must have goals that maybe the hardest part once you've put football aside as a lineman is getting back to like what your weight, a healthy weight should be.
100%. No, it's important. I think when I was trimming off, it was easy to initially trim off the fat because there was a lot of garbage at 320 that just didn't need to be on the body. Got down to 270, and then honestly, I kind of went up to like 300 again. And I had to have a tough conversation of like my future health. I can't say that, well, I'm playing football, so I can be heavy. I don't. I'm at a desk 12 hours a day. Like maybe I have some meetings out in the field. So now I've shifted my perspective on my health as I need to be healthy to eventually take care of my kids one day, for my wife who counts on me. And just for that, that's helped me kind of get back out there and stay healthier. I don't even need to be 290. Realistically, I probably need to be like 260. But selfishly, like I never was like, I need to be trimmed up. I don't need this cut body on a beach. It's not me. I like a good pizza and a beer. But I need to take care of myself. And there's a lot of players that do that really, really well. I mean, look at Cole Mabry. He has really trimmed himself up from his playing days. Yeah.
Thanksgiving coming up. And one of my favorite interviews that you ever gave, and maybe any player in my time here gave, was right before Thanksgiving of 2019. You may recall you had a chance to rank your favorite Thanksgiving side dishes in front of the cameras, and everything lives on the internet. And I thought you had a pretty good ranking. I wonder, it talks about how people stay the same or change, the evolution of you in the culinary arts. What's your top 3 now of Thanksgiving side dishes as you look back, as you look forward in 2 weeks?
I don't know if I love sweet potatoes then, but I love a good sweet potato casserole, green bean casserole.
That was number 2 at the time.
That was number 2. Yeah. Pierogies, which some people are like, that's a little odd, but pierogies is in there.
That was number 3.
It was number 3. Was it stuffing?
Stuff, yes, number 1. Ding, ding.
All right.
Yeah. And then you had a weird number 4 that, in fact, the group panned it somehow. You took a little flack. Somebody said, that's a tarot. And you said, no, I'm sticking with it. You had a weird number 4 back in 2019.
2019?
Yeah.
Was it mac and cheese?
No, we cannot accept that. Green bean casserole. You went green bean casserole 4, and then fried chicken. Yeah, fried chicken 5, that's a bit controversial for Thanksgiving, but you pulled that out.
Green bean casserole is fantastic. Morrison, they do it for us before we fly out to Stanford FC. It's fantastic, green bean casserole.
There you go. And your mom's still making the cheese and onion pierogi? That's still the go-to?
Oh, yeah.
You said that's famous, and that's. I'm not sure Brian Kelly wouldn't trade the whole $54 million buyout for one more meal at the Lugg home, one more round of pierogies. I think he'd be
Those
tempted.
pierogies are pretty good. It was pretty. So Coach Kelly and Clark Lee were the coaches that came and visited me. My mom served pierogies, and Clark Lee asked my mom to pass the raviolis, and everyone just and every time I see Clark now, I was just down in Nashville a few months ago, and he was just like, how's the pierogies?
when he said that, did everyone in the room just kind of play it off and be like, or those aren't raviolis? What are you talking about?
It was so awkward. Like it was so awkward. I would have perfectly. It was so awkward.
And you still signed. You're still committed. How about that? It's belief.
That's former Notre Dame offensive lineman Josh Lugg. Spending a little bit of time with us. Josh, great catching up with you. Enjoy Thanksgiving. Enjoy the business venture, and come back and talk a little Notre Dame football with us as we move forward here.
Awesome. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on, guys.
You got it. We'll come back, wrap up this edition of Pot of Gold right after this. Hey, you guys want to speak up?
Sure.
Irwin from Flagler Beach, Florida. I don't know if it's Irwin M. Fletcher. Anyone? No.
Who's that?
Okay.
Why should I know that?
Irwin M. Fletcher?
Yeah. What book is that from?
That's Fletch. Chevy Chase.
Oh, Fletch
the movie.
Okay.
Irwin M. Fletcher.
Okay.
I know Chevy Chase.
SNL.
SNL.
Movie?
Caddyshack.
Fletch. Rent Fletch.
Don't know that one. He's on Community, though, too.
All right.
Pool or pond? Just pond better for you. That's different.
From Irwin from Flagler Beach, Florida says, with the recent injuries to several of their best interior linemen on both sides of the ball, it looks like Notre Dame may be very vulnerable to a Pittsburgh team strong on both sides. Is there an imperfect storm brewing in Western Pennsylvania this weekend, gentlemen?
I think there's a real chance that Notre Dame could have some trouble running the football. We just talked about a little bit earlier how good this Pitt defense is against the run, and then now dealing with some of these injuries as well. even though Jeremiah Love and Jadarian Price are two of the best running backs, if not the two best running backs in the country, you obviously still need that blocking. So I think there could be a level of, I worry if they can get the running game going. But with the fact that Pitt is not great against the pass, I think as soon as, if they don't run for a lot in the first quarter, then all of a sudden Malachi Fields or Will Pauling is going to be open down the sideline, and then they're going to spread the defense out, and the running game's going to get going eventually.
Mike B?
That all sounds pretty plausible. I like to talk about tackling. Pitt's a good tackling team, and I thought they're number 5 in the Pro Football Focus tackling efficiency. So whether they're missing some of the people who did the tackling, as we mentioned earlier, that remains to be seen. But I thought it was interesting too that Jeremiah Love pointed out that in his scouting of the other team, as he tries to watches tape going into a game, he's interested in how individuals tackle, what their form is, whether they're sloppy or precise. Those are my words. And
or if they decide not to wrap up, like
that's right. He does pay attention to the tackle, whether it's a gang tackling team, whether they go to the echo of the whistle. But this Pitt team is fundamentally good there. Where the something that jumps out with Pitt is the red zone. They struggle on defense in the red zone. So Notre Dame is improving and had a better game against Navy after we kind of talked about that as an overriding issue. But Notre Dame's now up to number 33 in red zone offense and converting those trips into touchdowns.
That's what happens when you play Navy.
Pittsburgh is tied for 112th in keeping teams out of the end zone. So moving it between the 20s will be difficult at times, but once you get there, you got to cash in, and it seems like this is a week to do that.
It is, and we've talked about Pittsburgh being strong against the run. Notre Dame may find it tough running against Pittsburgh because of its defense. They also may find it a little tough going on the Acrisure Stadium turf because if you've seen games from Pittsburgh lately, either the Panthers playing or the Steelers playing, you see when guys are running, you see a lot of sand coming up. They've had some issues with the sod there as far as it being resodded, returfed, re-whatever. And then in one game I saw, every time someone's making a cut, there's sand coming up. So it might be a slow track. Pittsburgh's defense will gear up to stop Jeremiah Love. But if that's the case, you have to expect C.J. Carr and that wide receiving crew they're going to have a pretty big day on Saturday. C.J. Carr is going to go deep. He's going to go deep often. Malachi Fields, Will Pauling, and then Jordan Faison. Heck, maybe even Eli Reardon catches a touchdown pass.
No, that's never happened at this point.
It's never going to happen.
I think
when Ty Washington gets a touchdown catch before Eli Reardon, we're done with it.
But then we might have to call it off then.
It's over. So we'll see what happens as far as the interior line situation is on Saturday. Next up is Jerry Williams. Jerry from Parts Unknown. If Notre Dame gets beat by Pittsburgh, I'm going to throw this one to you, Jackson. Will it still be ranked in the top 15? It seems like the Irish always have an easy schedule. And I'm not editorializing here. He finishes by saying, since they are scared to join a conference.
Okay. First of all, they're not scared to join a conference.
They don't need to join a conference, Jerry.
They don't. They have for a second there when the college football, everything was realigning, we thought maybe they have to be in a conference. Now that we've seen how this plays out, they get to play, as we talked about last week, the Miamis, the Texas A&Ms early in the season, so they get some those are two marquee games right there. And then if they lose them, then by the time the rest of the season rolls around and everyone else is in conference play, they can just kind of pick up wins against the Navies and teams like that. So I don't think it's a scared, and also they don't need the money from a conference. But if they lose this game, I think they drop out of the top 15. If we talked about Miami earlier, they're at 15 right now. If Notre Dame has one more loss than a team they've already lost to straight up, if that's going to kind of be the line, then you have to imagine they drop out of the top 15.
And let's see, the only team that is ranked in the college football playoff rankings that came out on Tuesday is Iowa at 21 and Tennessee at 23. Those are the only two teams ranked in the top 25 with 3 losses.
I think Notre Dame could fall a lot. I think
they may even just fall out of the top 25.
I think Notre Dame is among any team because of that lack of conference affiliation. I think their ceiling and their floor at any ranking, I feel like, is usually the highest.
No way they fall out of the 25. There's no way.
It doesn't matter if you're 25, if you're 15 or 18 or your season's done. You're not going to the college football playoff.
Yeah, you're out of the playoff
going to
race.
the Pop-Tarts Bowl.
And I like Pop-Tarts. This is the last chance to get a little rankings juice and to be able to say you beat one of these teams. It's just USC and Pittsburgh is all that would be on that resume of wins over ranked teams, and at the time even. So Pittsburgh, good chance they end up falling out of it. USC could fall out of it, but there'll be a lot of jockeying as far as how much they. Again, impossible to say. BYU got spanked for how it lost in a top 10 matchup, and I thought that was perhaps an overcorrection down. But you never know with the Mac Rhodes and friends experience.
It all comes back to Mac Rhodes.
All roads lead back to Mac.
All roads do with Mike Berardino.
You like that?
Return of the Mac.
I'm going to put a bow on this Jerry Williams comment about how they're scared to join a conference.
Jerry needs to tell us where he lives.
Jack Swarbrick said when he was athletic director, the issues of Notre Dame ever joining a conference was, A, does Notre Dame have scheduling flexibility? They still have that. B, do they have a path every single season to the college football playoff? They still have that. I can't see another team that would start 0-2 and now sitting here on November 12th being ranked 9th in the country. So they have that path, and then they also needed a home for all their other sports. The Atlantic Coast Conference is that home. The Big Ten is the home for hockey. There is no need for Notre Dame to join a conference if this is what it's going to be like in the 12-team playoff. We'll see what happens later on down the line where the next seismic shift in college sports is rumored to be coming in 2030 or 2031, where when all the television contracts are up, and it's a foregone conclusion by many that the SEC and the Big Ten will merge into some sort of super conference. We'll see what happens then. Mm-hmm. But as of now, in 2025, 2026, maybe even 2027, Notre Dame's in a good spot. They don't need to join a league, and I don't want to be part of a 38-team league in the Big Ten or the SEC.
I think most people wish they were the spot Notre Dame is in. And I mean, for whatever reason, it's like that's the spot they're in right now. And it's like, I think any team would like to, like you said, go 0-2 and then end up being ranked 9th in the country.
Guess what time it is?
What time is that?
Pot of Gold. We offer one hot take and one score prediction to end this episode of Pot of Gold. Who wants to go first? I see it in Mike Berardino's eyes.
I'm ready. Let's get this
go.
over with. It won't be 100.
Loves the podcast.
It won't be 100, but it'll be plenty. Notre Dame 38, Pittsburgh 24, and Eli Raridan breaks out his end zone dance after. He reminded me he's due. He's so due. I even asked CJ Carr about it, and he always spinning it to the positive. He talked about how happy he was for Ty. No real explanation for why Eli Raridan, a very large man, hasn't been found for a touchdown yet. But this is a game. There'll be multiple touchdown passes for CJ. At least one will go to Eli.
So if
Jackson, you got to go because I'm still looking for what my prediction. It's been such a long week.
Don't throw stones from a glass house there, Tom.
What?
You're always getting on Mike for not being ready.
No, I always go last. It's been such a long week, I forget what I predicted this game way back on Monday morning.
Well, I got you, Tom, on this one. Okay, so I'm only thinking if Eli Raridan doesn't catch a touchdown after that was Tom's pot of gold, I think I have to do it probably next week then. Yeah, so
I think it was last week, wasn't it?
Exactly. So then,
Mike's just kicked.
I feel good about this.
So then if this doesn't happen this week, next week I'll pick it.
With that red zone stat I gave you. Pitt's vulnerable in the red zone.
All right, well, I'm going to go with 3 interceptions for the defense. Freshman quarterback Mason Heinchel. We've seen him have a couple games against Florida State and then against Stanford, throwing 2 interceptions. I think this is going to be the time where it's the best secondary he's going to have played so far in his career. We heard Narduzzi talk about whatever, if they lose by 100. Is there any chance they're watching a little Georgia Tech film maybe this week?
Maybe they're concentrating a little more on Haynes King and not enough on CJ Carr.
Is there a chance he's looking at, Mason Heintzel's looking at Brent, like that defense instead of Notre Dame's? There's a chance in my mind, so I think 3 interceptions is definitely plausible. I'm going with 31-21. I think it's going to be Pitt scores kind of like a late touchdown to make it seem a little closer than it is, but I think it's just Notre Dame is kind of in control of this football game even if the final score isn't all that, it's not a blowout.
I'm going to go first 100-yard receiving day for Malachi Fields. He was close against Navy. I think he had 97. But that's still not 100. These are the type of games, as I wrote my 4 to watch, these are the type of games and the type of moments that you bring a Malachi Fields in. He needs to have a big game. He needs to look like a pro on a professional stage in Pittsburgh. So Malachi Fields, 100 yards, first time receiving this year. And then I'm going to go 35-31. This is the one game everyone has pointed to as a potential pitfall.
Oh.
In Notre Dame's run back to the college football playoff. It will be a test, but it'll be one that Notre Dame passes. They go 8-2. We come back next week and preview Syracuse. So for Jackson Neill, for Mike Berardino, I'm Tom Noie. This has been Pot of Gold.
This has been the South Bend Tribune's Pot of Gold podcast, your home for insightful Notre Dame football coverage and analysis.